The birds are at it again. They are tweeting their little hearts for me this morning, for my soul. It's all for me. Oh, welcome back to the channel. It's another sunrise. It's another soulful morning here in the Arnside and Silverdale area of outstanding natural beauty. So I'm close to home and I'm visiting a location I've not been to as well, so that's always exciting. Of course, we are at 6:15 in the morning, living the dream. I still get that. I don't know if anyone, I think most of you are going to relate with this. You know, when your alarm goes off, especially the further you, the closer you get into summer, when the days are getting longer, and you just think like, what am I doing? Should I really be going out at this time? You get out, you get in the car and it's just dead. There's no one around. But as soon as you get here and the sun starts coming up and it starts getting light, oh, instant, it's that instant gratification and instant realization of, yeah, this is why I'm doing this. Now, on the subject of light, that's actually what I want to talk about today. It's simple, like most of my topics, but I think it'll be really interesting if you've never really thought about light in this sense. And a nice reminder, if you're already aware, you know, I'd like to think. So I'm hoping for some nice light this morning. That remains to be seen. But what a morning it is. Oh, it's good stuff. It is stunning. This location is looking good, and I don't really know what's going to happen with the light, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about this subject that I want to crack on with. Now, ultimately, the reason why I want to talk about this is to try and inspire people. And this is what happened, right? So probably, when was it? Like summer 2020, when I was writing my first ebook actually on composition, I had a whole section on light. And I remember saying in the book, like, you could write a whole novel on light in photography, of course you could. But I remember having this realization, and it's proper simple, honestly. And the realization is this: when it comes to light in landscape photography, let's just stick to landscape photography, it's not just about direct sunlight, all right? And this is the way I looked at it. Unless it's nighttime, unless it's the middle of the night, there's always light. There's always some sort of light. And even at nighttime, you know, you can go out during the full moon and get some cracking photographs. Astrophotography, at the end of the day, you're getting light from the stars, and you might be painting light yourself in the foreground, that sort of thing. But the idea is to try and inspire us to go out in any sorts of conditions and kind of work with the hand that you've been dealt, almost, you know. And I personally, I feel like I'm in a really good place. I remember when I first started, and I'd get really down because I didn't think, oh, we haven't got any light. I remember saying, oh, there's no light tonight. I feel a bit disappointed, you know. I plan to go out with my camera for the sunset. We're not going to have any light. Now, I think we can all agree there's an unwritten league table of light. You know, number one, the top spot, Man City this season, is the sunrise glow. You know, the sun comes up and it filters through the morning fog. We can all probably agree that that's the creme de la creme of light for a landscape photographer. Or, you know, sunset light, side light in the can't beat the side light in the morning. And then maybe you'd have beautiful colours in the sky, you know, after the sunset. And then it goes on and on and on. But the point is, just because you're halfway down that league table, you know, Liverpool this season, sorry guys, just because you're halfway down that league table doesn't mean that it's not worth having a go at, you know. And I'm in a position now where, yes, if it's overcast, it's not ideal, but I maybe will take myself to a local woodland because, you know, that's a location that suits overcast conditions. If it's stormy and dramatic outside, I might take myself out to some hills or to the Bowland Fells or to the Lake District if I could, and just work with what I've got, you know, just enjoy the light that I've got. And ultimately, it just gets you out with your camera more when you actually realise that. And like I say, of course, it's so simple, but if you've never really thought about it like that, for me at least, it was a little bit of a realisation of, oh, there is always some sort of light, you know. Like, it's not always just about direct sunlight. I mean, even now, we haven't got direct sunlight. I mean, we probably will do soon, so this is going to be a rotten example because we're going to have some nice light. Well, fingers crossed anyway. So yeah, just something to think about, I think. And I reckon that's just maybe nice for one or two beginners to hear that, you know. It's not always about direct sunlight and the morning glow and things like that. There's a lot more to be worked with. What a location. This is absolutely beautiful. So we're at this quarry here. There's quite a lot of silver birch trees dotted around. We got this giant rock here that will be getting photographed at some stage. So now, as always, it's just a case of wandering around, seeing if I can find any compositions. So I don't know if it's just me, probably is like, but I'm getting some real Yosemite vibes from this spot. Look at this, we're here in the Yosemite Valley. Huge gorge, and then we've got the El Capitan behind me here. A lot of rock climbers do come here actually, so perhaps it's just because it's sort of synonymous with that. I've not even been to the Yosemite National Park, but I don't know, obviously a very miniature version of it. It's just the way my imagination works, you know. We're not in lockdown, I'm here in Yosemite National Park. Oh, what a wally. So first shot of the day, and this is going to be a little bit different for me, but I quite like it. You know, it's nice, it's intimate, and we haven't got any light yet, so I've been lying to you all morning, just lying. We haven't got any light. The light's quite even, fairly flat, and all in all quite unremarkable, but that's, in a way it's worked out well, because that's the point I'm trying to make, you know. This is the light I've got at the minute. Hopefully the sun does come up and over this quarry, these cliffs, but for the moment, this is what I've got, so let's just work with it, you know. So I've got the 55-300 lens on, and I've just found this small section, this small cliff face here that's looks like it's been scarred, you know, obviously from all the quarrying, but I think a lot of rock climbers come here as well, like I say. And then we've got this kind of beautiful, pale, subtle reddish colour that I'm not sure what's going on. It looks like it's maybe stained from the soil that's come from a top of the cliff, maybe. Sometimes I actually like to disconnect myself from what it is that I'm actually photographing, in a sense of like, you know, don't put so much pressure on myself to try to understand everything, you know. As landscape photographers, we go to all sorts of places. Like, this is a quarry from the 19th century, and I don't know anything about that, but sometimes I like to photograph stuff just because it looks nice, you know. Perhaps that's my lazy way of saying I don't have a clue what I'm photographing this morning, guys, and sorry, I've got no information for you. But either way, yeah, it looks cool. So fairly intimate, fairly abstract as well. Especially where I'm concerned. Focus is nice and simple, you know. I've literally zoomed in on the cliff face, 135mm, f8, ISO 100 and 1/13 of a second, and that's that. So it's really about the scarring and the texture that we're getting from that. A lot of the scarring is running horizontally across the cliff face, whereas a lot of that red colour, because of the water that's been dripping down as well, I guess over a period of years, is actually vertical. So I quite like that sort of crisscross like this, you know. It adds to that feeling of texture. And then I guess I've been attracted to this section because of the colour, and that comes back to the light. We haven't got incredible light, so I'm trying to work with a little bit of colour and colour contrast and stuff like that. But it's going to be all right, you know. Like I said, nothing particularly special. But we'll grab that now, 2-second timer. Something, you know, nice and different to start off the morning. Mint. So before I go anywhere, I want to get a photograph of this beast. This beast of a boulder here. I have to grab an image. Ironically, you know, we're on the subject of light today. I do think this location is made for that top of the league light, you know, the morning glow, a little bit of fog, you know. I'm imagining this composition now with a little bit of mist off in the background, just to make the El Capitan appear a little bit more ominous and sinister off there in the background. I think that'll be class. And of course, imagine if there's a bit of side light coming from here and hitting this boulder. But that's fine, you know. It's great to visualize locations in better light, especially if it's local like this is to me, and you can you know, return in those conditions. But it's worth getting a photograph here. So I'll grab this now, nice and simple. A little bit of a snapshot. Focus on that boulder. I've got VR switched on. I'm at 20mm, so fairly wide. I'm capturing the Yosemite Valley here. El Capitan in the background. Ah, this is stunning. And there we go. I'll take my 2-second timer off. Mammoth. Ah, yeah, happy with that. Yep, histogram's spot on. And that'll do. So yeah, like I say, a little bit of a snapshot, but one that's going to be good for me to look back on, and it'll make it easier for me to visualise how I want to take it and what conditions I want to try and come back to. So I'm going to go down further into the Yosemite Valley. I can't believe I'm still calling it this. And there's a track that goes up and around the El Capitan. Hopefully up there. Well, I don't have a clue, but I'm assuming we're going to get some fairly nice vistas, or at least something to work with the camera. So I must admit, I've come the wrong way. I've come down this little path here. I need to be over them cliffs there on the left hand side to get back up to the El Capitan, but I'll have to just head back round and go up. But I mean, I'm actually quite glad that it's happened, because look at this beautiful little pathway, or, you know, mini gorge here with the cliffs on the left hand side, and of course the ubiquitous mossy limestone boulders of the Silverdale and Arnside area. Wonderful. So I've as is so often the case, this is a scene that I've kind of, I suppose, stumbled upon. So I'm having to use the tripod here because I am shooting at 1/3 of a second, and first things first, focus. I'm focusing about 1/3 of the way in, which is on one of them limestone boulders, and that is just absolutely gorgeous. So I want to talk about light here, actually. And, you know, we haven't got any direct sunlight, so I've completely lied to you. It's still quite flat, but this is going to be brilliant for beginners to see, because we're still working with light here, albeit very subtle. So what's really caught my eye, see that little shadow there, right off in the distance? That to me just looks beautiful. And then of course all the little shadows down here on the mossy limestone boulders. Up here on the left hand side, then we've got all this section here that's fairly bright. The shadows on these trunks here, so you can see there, although it's quite subtle, we are working with light, and it's all different types of light. And although it's not perfect, you know, we're not top of the league here, this is still wonderful. And again, it comes back to that idea that I'm just working with what I've got. So I'm quite glad I've come the wrong way here, because this is cool. So ISO 100 f8 and 1/3 of a second. So I'll take my VR off. I need to be using the tripod here, like. Just make sure that focus is dialed in. And yeah, the composition, we've got this kind of bend here from the boulders that I'm hoping takes us round to this section here where we have got that shadow, which is probably my favourite part of the whole composition. Then this area up here is lovely as well. So 2-second timer's back on, we'll grab that now. Wonderful. So hopefully, as you're seeing that there, you can really notice, you know, those subtleties, I'll say it again, those subtleties of light and highlights and shadows, I suppose, as well. We're getting, I mean, I'll take the image off the screen there. Look at the lovely glow of light that we're getting there. If you look, that's where the sun's coming from up there. Perhaps it's come out a little bit. That's some sort of reflective light down there, but that is just beautiful. And it's really things like that to look out for. You know, it's not always about that direct sunlight. Brilliant. Right, that was a lucrative wrong turn. Let's get up to the El Capitan. I can't get up. I can't figure out how to get up. I think I need to go back to where I started and actually go in the opposite direction, but I'm going to leave it for another day. I say this on quite a lot of my local videos. I like to not like cane an area in one go. I like to have something to come back to. So I'm going to leave that for a future visit. I'm actually back at this rock, if you can't tell, a huge boulder, just because, you can probably tell from a bit of a glow on my face, the sun has come up and over some of the cliffs. And the light's quite nice because the sun is being kind of diffused through some of the sunlight is being diffused through some of the kind of hazy clouds, which is nice, which means we're getting this fairly subtle light on the rock rather than just like heavy, harsh, direct sunlight. So what I'm doing is taking exactly the same composition as I did earlier, if you remember the one with the boulder, or as close to it as I can get, and I'm going to put them up now for you to see, and I'm hoping this one will be a little bit more pleasing. Looking on the back of the camera, I think they actually look quite similar, so I could be talking a little bit of rubbish. I think we need proper direct sunlight, a little bit more contrast maybe, but I think it'll be an interesting comparison because we definitely have some sort of like semi-direct light now at least. But I'll let yous be the judge. I'll pop them up now side by side so you can see. And I'm going to call it a day, a morning. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to pop home and get a cup of tea. And I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please give the video a thumbs up. It always really helps out my content here on YouTube. And I shall see you on the next adventure. Out!